Okay, Tara, thank you so much for joining me. I'm really excited to talk to you about your chart, about your business, and see if there's a way I can support you today. We've spoken before. You're a fellow mental projector, so I can understand some of the unique challenges that we experience, not just as projectors, but as mental projectors in our businesses. So, thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I can't wait to dig in.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So let's just start. I'm going to have you tell me a little bit about your business and the challenges that you're facing that maybe we can get some insight on today.
Sure. So my business is called Create Conversation, and really it's a coaching business that is centered around helping women who are in kind of that 10 to 15 year range in their careers, and they're starting to question everything, or they might even like be feeling burnout. And try and helping them kind of navigate like, all right, now we're going to create your life your way versus
Mhm.
how you think you should have been doing it. And so that's really where I focus on coaching, is to find a solution to what is, what's leading women to just kind of be like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Why do I feel like this? All of the things. So it's a pretty new business. I would say I've been actively in business for about 2 years. And I would say one of my biggest challenges is really kind of knowing how to say network, or where to network, or where people are who are looking for this. And then also working on how do I make my emails more effective? I
Mhm.
definitely tend towards like, I want to give people a bunch of information.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't want my emails to feel like marketing.
Yeah.
I think I feel like I'm allergic to marketing. I mean,
Okay, fair.
and so I think I kind of struggle with like what really is what's useful for people, and what is also going to spur them to say act on it. Like, I would say I haven't really generated any business off of my email list. Um,
Mhm.
so that's
Okay.
one of my challenges.
How big is your email list?
Oh, like 35. It's
Okay. Okay. So
getting people on it. Maybe that's the other thing we should talk about too.
yeah,
How do I
let's
find the
grow
people
that
who want to
email.
sign up for it?
Uh, for in general, how long have people, is this like you built the email list, you had these people come on, and then it's been the same people?
I've had a few additions. I would say it's grown from, so I mean, when I started, I had 11.
Okay.
And so over 2 years, it's grown to like about 35,
Okay.
and a few people have dropped off.
All
So
right.
I am
Um,
like getting growth on it.
sure.
You know, it doesn't, it's, it's still small, and I'm not sure how many of my ideal clients are actually there.
Okay. Um, So, okay, there's a few different directions that we can go with this. The first thing that jumps out at me now, I'm just going to say, so everybody knows you are well versed in your human design. So we may skip around. I might not explain things as in depth. I can reference some things. I'll try to for the sake of anyone listening. Um, but you have training and certifications in human design. Yes.
Mhm. I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're a quantum human design specialist. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I use quantum human design.
Beautiful.
When-
So, and that's just different in terms of verbiage.
Mm.
I tend to not be with one way or another. So I may use Karen's verbiage. More than likely, I'll use more traditional, but I think you'll get the gist of it. And we can talk about how that's shown up for you as well. So that'll be fun. Okay, so the first thing that jumps out, obviously, is your conscious sun and earth is in the 2343 Freak Genius channel. So that can make marketing really interesting because it's so timing dependent for you. Because if you're not in the right environment and we're not with the right people and the timing's not correct, that we lean into that freak, right? Like people just don't get it. And when the timing is right and you're in the right environment and the stars are aligned, so to speak, you get that, and it's like so easy to see that genius. And as a projector, there's a different energy about you anyway, because projectors are just designed so different. We have such an intense aura that's really well suited for one-to-one. And then the challenge is, as a mental projector, and I completely understand, there are no motors defined. So we're really having to stay on top of our energetic hygiene and manage our energy. You are also a parent, right? So you've got two kids, we've got, your business, you've got your family life, and then a part-time job. So there's all these things going on. And so managing your energy really means that we have to get super focused in the way that you are going about generating leads so that we're not getting burnt out.
Mhm.
I really commend you, by the way, on the part-time job and having those part-time hours. I do hope that that's something that's a little bit like easy for you. Energetically speaking, you're laughing. What's coming
I'm
up?
laughing because um, maybe not so easy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Um,
it's definitely drawing on your energy.
it's definitely drawing on my energy. Yeah, I've been in it for about a year.
Okay.
Went back to, so my training is engineering, so civil
Yes.
engineering, and I went into a consulting company. It was
Okay.
supposed to be easy. I thought I had a very clear vision of what I wanted out of it, and it has turned out to not be that. So I'm
Okay.
currently managing all that has happened over the last year in that job.
All right. So probably
Yeah.
feeling pretty motivated to get this shift
I
happening
would
in.
love to get the I would love to get the shift and like be really just focused on my business.
Yes.
Yes, that'd be great.
Well, let me ask you this. What energizes you the most about when you're in the work that you're doing with your business, when you're coaching and working with people? I mean, where do you feel most energized?
I definitely feel most energized when I'm actually coaching somebody,
Yeah.
right? Like the actual coaching part.
Yeah.
I also have noticed that if I go to like I say, I went to a happy hour
Mhm.
networking
Mhm.
and it was a smaller group. And I noticed that like because I think it was a smaller group, that helped me to also feel
Mhm.
energized and like pretty comfortable with talking about what I'm doing. One of the issues that I've had is being able to talk about it in a
Mhm.
clearly
Mhm.
and not like kind of shrink from it.
Mhm.
Um, especially because I tend to look for say like women in technical careers like engineering and things like that. And so what I'm bringing is something that they've probably never heard of.
Right.
In
Okay.
terms, I mean, even just talking about like, oh, did you know you can like create the career that you want and you women in engineering kind of go, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And then and then there's this system that's all energy.
And then there's a system that's all energy, and I'm gonna talk to you about intuition. I guess that's just it. Like really, like the basis of my of coaching is getting people to tune into their intuition and then and understanding their energy. So it's a lot to be bringing to people who maybe haven't heard it before.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
you really love working with that logical engineering, IT kind of person?
yeah, yeah. I haven't worked all with completely with sorry 100% with engineers.
Yeah.
Mind words right now. But what I do notice is that the women who are attracted to me and just people in general who are attracted to me are people who are highly analytical,
Yeah.
unless they're um, unless they're here to shake me up, and then usually they're on the other end of the spectrum, and that's not really my client. That's someone who's
Yeah, that's another part of
here
your
for
life.
me.
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah,
makes sense. Defined head. That's going to be really appealing to the logical person, especially that has the undefined head, right? Like they're going to be like, whoa, this is my jam.
yeah.
And the defined ajna and so much definition in your ajna. So you have had ajna throat defined. So certainly going to appeal to the logical person. Okay. And it's interesting too, because it's like really, you really see that freak genius thing going on when you have a logical person or someone who's just kind of been so mind heavy, and even looking at their charts, it would be so interesting to see what percentage actually has, a lot of like this spiritual connection or can be open to it. And it's just, we're so conditioned to be in our mind, right? And then you and I actually are as mental projectors, like we actually are in our minds.
Yes.
So, and there's a lot of wisdom in the body as well for us being so open. So, okay, so there's a few things going on here. There's the email list. Do you have a funnel going to that you actively use that is not converting?
Um, look, I occasionally drop it on LinkedIn, like a landing page set up for
Yeah.
it. And usually what I do is when I send out my monthly newsletter, like a few times a year, I post the whole newsletter on the page that has that link in it.
Okay.
And that hasn't, actually, I think I got one person maybe. And
Okay.
then I also have tried, I putting together something. I have a feeling it's not quite landing with people in terms of like, oh, I totally need to download this guide, right? Like a free guide kind of thing. I have tried that, and I think I got like one person from using that, but that's on like my email signature and everything, and that it doesn't really
Okay. Okay.
do much.
So it seems like a little bit passive when you share it. It's like, oh, it's in there, right? And it's tricky because we're projectors and we're taught wait for the invitation. So you can put it out there, right? And then you just kind of have to wait. So there is a little bit of that with marketing for projectors is like, okay, we just need to have ourselves out there and be discoverable and then let people sort of come to us. And we can take a little bit more of a direct role, I have found in a couple different ways. So there's two options, right? Either that I'm doing it directly or that I'm having someone do it for me. So I've had very good luck, just so you know, and this is maybe just pin it for down the road. I have had amazing luck on LinkedIn, not luck. It's it's energy, right? Where I have infused my message with myself, my projectorness, and I have an assistant who is a manifester who actually does DM strategy on LinkedIn. I have made tens of thousands of dollars, if not more, from that strategy alone. But what I'm doing is infusing my energy into the actual message, and we're I'm initiating an invitation opportunity through a live event. That's how I use LinkedIn specifically. So there's a couple of things that we can talk about here. So um, there's email list growth, and then there is just general lead development, right? And then there's converting. So that's sort of three different buckets here. For the lead develop, or excuse me, the email list growth, we want to start thinking about places where people can opt in and then making it really compelling. And so I'm curious actually what the messaging is with your lead magnet and what kind of the general gist of what you're sharing in your emails.
Okay, so the messaging with the lead magnet is it's centered around like discovering your leadership style. I have
Okay.
a feeling the word leadership is what's hanging me up.
Okay.
Um, so that can be tweaked.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, like it's it's that it's that type of like guide, like figure out what your leadership style is. Why do people come to you? All these things, right?
Yeah.
Because then that can help you figure out what your next step is in your career. But I have a feeling that that's probably too far down the road. Like one of the things I know about myself, I will be like 20 or 30 steps down the road and everybody else is back here. I'm over here, they're over here. And I'm like, come on, I got it all over here.
One
And
of
I
us.
forget to
One
come
of
back
us.
and like lead them down the road.
Yeah.
So,
And that's
so
what you're
there's
here to
that.
do.
And then the email, so my newsletter, I've done a couple of different things. Usually it's centered around like a blog post that then also goes on my website.
Okay. Beautiful.
And just talking about like lately, I talk about how we can, to start talking about energy. I usually have some kind of messaging in there about like the time of year it is and how the energy is in that year going, or like winter is a time for like hibernation. Like my big message on January 1st is we don't have to hit the ground running. on January 1st because we're in the dead of winter, for crying out loud, and it's dark and it's cold if you're in the northern hemisphere. And really, this is the time for introspection and like just kind of figuring out things.
Yeah.
So I take that through the year, so that usually I write something about that. And I have tried on the newsletter offering like a free 30-minute human design if I'm talking about human design in it.
Sure.
And I don't know, things like that. Like it's kind of geared towards trying to get people to go to my website to read the blog post mostly.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, beautiful. So I'm having a lot of ideas percolating here. You said something before we started the recording about you notice that you have the best reaction when you get someone in person. So leaning into that, thinking about how do I get more people to engage with me? How do I get more people to invite me into their world? There's a couple of things. So one is being a little bit more direct about and consistently directing them into that opening of the invitation. So the verbiage is a little bit different. Whereas, as you know, like a manifestor would be like, book a call with me, right? Like let's just talk. And we can kind of say that, but it becomes a little bit softer in our language as a projector, because it's like we want to open up the opportunity for them to then invite us if they recognize us, right, as a projector. So then the language becomes like, if this is resonating with you, if you're curious to learn more, then we want to do X, Y, Z. Let's talk one-to-one, or join me on my new class, or sign up for my emails, like whatever you want them to do. I found that just simply kind of tagging it at the end isn't enough. So there can be opportunities for when you're sharing on LinkedIn, for example, to just have standalone posts that are simply directing people to join your list. Like, did you know that energy is basically quantum physics, right? Learn more here, sign up for my, or whatever you want to say that really connects with them. The second piece of this is, with the language, is really getting clear on what exactly is that transformation they're looking for. And that's what I'm curious and still maybe a little bit unclear with you.
What's the transformation they're looking for?
Yeah, like when you've had the biggest ahas with people you have worked with and coached in the past, what has it been about?
So it doesn't feel that concrete to say, so I'm just gonna say it.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. I would say that the biggest ahas have been this awareness that the people that I've worked with so far, that they are doing actually way more than they need to be doing, period. So like, for instance, taking on too much responsibility at work when you start to you're trying to fix everything. That's one of the things that I've noticed. And then like having them pull back from that and start to notice how what feels like an impossible environment starts to get a little bit easier to navigate. That's like one of them. And I don't even know how to put that in like concise terms, right?
Okay. Yep.
And another one is that, when people are super high achieving and have been basically groomed their entire lives to achieve, then they again don't realize that their work ethic is way up here. And a lot of people's is kind of down here. And so I'm working with the people who are way up here in their work ethic, feeling like they're not doing enough and they're burning out, and like kind of being able to illustrate to them that like, look, you're doing all of these things. No wonder you're burned out. And then, asking the question then, well, what is it actually like to do? Because you can be like high achieving up here at what I like to do. You don't have to like come down to this level. A high achiever is never going to come down to this level. I've had this conversation myself with my own coaches many a time.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, I literally don't know how to do what you're telling me to do right now.
Right. Right.
Right. But it's finding the things that like actually, right, energetically light us up and like
Yes.
make us feel energized that will help us. And so that's also like kind of a big aha, like where can you let go of the stuff that's just like, you're just doing it because you can. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? All of that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. Good.
So,
And so then as they make these changes based on your reflections and your work together, what then is the end result that happens or that they would like to have happen?
the end result has been that they are um, a lot more confident in their abilities, for one thing,
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of had to be, it's amazing how many women, especially in maybe a little bit more of a technical career, don't believe their performance reviews when they're
Mm-hmm.
getting really good performance reviews, and
Mm-hmm.
they still think that that's not quite them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's bringing them to the point where like they actually feel confident in their abilities to do these things, and like to actually say find a job that fits better. That was somebody that I worked with, was finding a job that fits better.
Mm.
Um, or even like creating a vision and recognizing, okay, I can't take the leap yet on this vision, but where do I need to start opening up to the possibilities that can come in to help me take the next steps toward that, instead of staying stuck in a job that feels awful, right?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the kinds of outcomes that
Okay.
we end up with.
So it's almost like, I mean, I don't know if this is the right wording for it, but what it feels like is like helping them master their career. So whether that's a different position or getting out of burnout so that they can actually like fall in love, right? Like it's like this career mastery through beating burnout and, you know, like taking leadership head on, right? Improving leadership skills. There's a number of different things that you're doing with them, building their confidence, managing managing their team better, right? Like meeting them where they are, becoming more, I don't know, approachable. Perhaps that could be in there as well if they're like super high, if they have really high expectations for their team, right? So there could be a lot of things in there, but it's sort of like really becoming an intentional master of what they want out of their career. Does that sound, I mean, I just want to make sure I have it right in my mind.
Yeah, that sounds right. Like
Okay.
that, the way that you put it at first, it was like, oh yeah, that is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Career mastery, right?
And then, and along the way, there's also like this energy thing that we're going to work on too. So there's a little
Yeah.
element of like awakening in it.
Yep.
But I'm trying to meet people where they're at, because I know that like when I went through my stuff, right? So because I feel like we always coach people from where we
Yep.
work sometimes,
100%.
right? So when I went through my stuff, I had like, for me to like come online and come on board with all this like energy stuff, like I had to have somebody who recognized that I wasn't going to be down with any woo woo talk for probably a good year and a half. And I wasn't, right?
Mhm.
And like that person was able to meet me where I was, and then like kind of slowly introduce it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and those are the types of people that
Yeah.
I'm working with.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know one of the things that you tried was my referral mastery course, and I know you mentioned like you just didn't get any bites, and so now I'm sort of seeing that disconnect, right? Of
Yeah.
get a free human design session where we're leading with the energy stuff, but
Yeah.
really what they're looking for is the career mastery via avoiding burnout or healing burnout or becoming a better leader, meeting their team where they are, et cetera. So I think the first opportunity that we have here is how can we shift the narrative, right, to ease them into the energy stuff. Oh, by the way, I have
Right.
these tools that are going to help us accelerate. Because that's the thing. It's not where you're not just helping them get there, you're helping them get there faster,
Yeah.
you know? So lead magnets, whether that's a consultation call of some sort, a mini session like the human design session, whether that is, I can't remember if I said lead magnet, mini sessions, consultation calls, book a call, like whatever you're offering them, it really needs to lead with these outcomes.
Okay.
So, and I could see that it's like, master career mastery or master your career, whatever words you find that really resonate with your ideal audience. Then we create around that and we introduce. So for example, I also have to bridge. So I spent many years building my audience as just business development for entrepreneurs. Now I added in the human design piece, but really it's all energetic. So I have a lead magnet, then you'll be seeing kind of a lot in my marketing that is in my Q1 campaign that's called Path to Profit, right? And it's structure, it's 5 steps: structure, 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 energy. Right? Structure, 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 energy. And it's like, it becomes like strategy and tactics and knowing your numbers and all of this concrete stuff. And then at the end, there's an introduction of, hey, by the way, all of this works, but it works well when you have the energetic piece in place. So I offer that to you just as some insight to see, okay, well, maybe how could we reposition this, right? And leadership can be, it is a little bit of a vague term right now, I think in this market, but it's like high achieving women who want to master all aspects of their career, right? Without burnout, without their team hating them, without,
Yeah.
whatever, right? Like a more holistic or aligned approach to mastering your career, right? Find happiness and joy in it, find the fun, find the flow, all of this stuff. So I'm just throwing things out that are coming to me because you'll take what feels right for you. So then that becomes the lead generation. So that's the lead generation bucket. So whether it's your lead magnet that could be simply shifted. So it sounds like you have 2, right? You'll offer a mini chart session, and then you also have a lead magnet around leadership. So maybe you don't necessarily have to rework the content. It's just the messaging of it, right? So find, your leadership design session, or like pinpoint your burnout trigger session, or make your team stop hating you session, whatever it is that you find that there really is going to like hook them in. And don't be afraid to pull your audience, because whether that's LinkedIn or 35 people on an email list, right? Start somewhere, start asking the people who are paying attention, which of these it would be the most interesting to you, right? And then we can start to craft around that messaging. And then as we get them into the session, it's like, listen, I'm going to give you the meat of this, the tactics, the strategy. We're going to identify these things, but we're going to do it with this eye on the energy, and we can dial that up or dial that down as much as we need. Right? Just so you know, because I have people that come to me too that are like, no, not interested in human design. And I'm like, great. I'm going to run your chart because it helps me, because I'm going to know these things eventually, but it's going to be way faster if I can see your chart, right? I'm going to just be able to pinpoint those things faster. So you can dial it up, dial it down, but we've got to start to frame these intro calls or these intro opportunities as sort of the end result.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What's coming up with that?
I was just noticing as you were talking, and I'm taking it all in. I'm like, I just feel super light. Which is
Yeah.
really good sign. I'm like, oh, okay. Cause like I knew I had a disconnect. And
Yeah.
I've been getting closer and closer to like what it is. I know, like I've been able to shift what I'm doing, and this shift what I'm saying, like say on social media, and like practicing with that and things like that. But there still was kind of like, but I know that I know that I'm doing something that people are just kind of going, wait, what do you do again? Like I still get that a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Like, that
Yeah.
means I'm not being very clear about what it is I'm doing or
Yep.
what you'll get out of it if you work with
Yeah.
me. That's what I've noticed.
Right.
So yeah, so all of this is sounding fabulous, actually.
Yeah. Great. Okay, good. So then the second half of this, I know we said there was three things. There's the email list, and I think tweaking that messaging around the lead magnet is going to help to grow, and then finding places to promote that. So that's one piece. Then, getting people to actually do what you're asking them to do. I think there is opportunity. We shy away, and this is outside of human design, just sales psychology. We often shy away. The more sensitive you are to messaging, right?
That's me.
The more sensitive you are, right, to messaging and to sales on the receiving end, the more we overcorrect and we don't direct people enough. So as a projector, we're going to just be a little bit more like a manifestor. A manifesting generator is like, book a call, do this now. You don't want to miss this, right? As a projector, we're going to be a little bit softer in the sense of, if this resonates with you, if you're curious to learn more, here's what you want to do next. What we don't have to soften up on is how often you put that out there, right? Or being even just like, this is the one thing, here's my one insight for the day, right? If this hit you hard, right? If this was a punch in the gut, if this was, if you want to be a little bit softer, even than that, like you don't want to be so, if what you're sharing isn't so outrageous, but likely what you're sharing, right? We're looking that Freak Genius channel is what you're sharing. If that could be taken or as a little jarring, right? Address it. And then like, let's talk about it. We're going to be leading then with the outcome more, right? So we're talking and having conversations a little bit more in terms of marketing and content creation around the transformation that happens, not necessarily when you step into your energy or you align with your human design or whatever, but more of like when you can get super clear on maybe energetic blocks, right? Like unconscious patterning, conditioning, right? We can start to ease in those terms. When you get super clear on what's not quite working, then you can find joy. Then you can release the burnout. Then you can have a team that loves you. And I'm just saying those things because they were easy things to come up with. So we lead with that, and then we can offer the opportunity. Now, I tend to follow an 80-20 rule. So I'm not saying every single post, every single communication is book a call. In your emails, for sure, they have already energetically opened the invitation. I like a nice call to action in every email. And if it's not within the body, it's just a simple PS. Here's what are my available opportunities right now.
Okay.
Yep. And then the other part that we were talking about, like, so in this one, did I forget? So we're doing lead generation. Oh, and then, okay, how do people find you? So they're going to convert best when they get in your energy, right? Because you can zoom right into that G center. They're going to feel so seen. As long as the invitation is there and they recognize you. With no motors and a family and a side job and all the things, right? One to few, one to many. Okay. It's nice to coach people one-to-one, but think of the marketing, right? We're going to cast a wider net. You also have your 3-5. So that 5 line actually is really well suited for, what do they call, strangers of consequence. So this is not necessarily like a 4 line is going to be like your immediate network, 1, 2, and 3 lines. They're going to be like really within themselves.
Yeah.
But the 5 and the 6 line are actually well suited for strangers of consequence, meaning you get on stage and people you don't necessarily know. They're likely karmic relationships, right? Like there's going to be a soul connection there. But being able to sort of cast a wider net is really, really helpful and well suited for your energetic from a marketing perspective. So being on stage, getting in front of other people's audiences, hosting your own events can all be really helpful ways to funnel into not just the booking a call, but grow your email list. So finding what I call power partners who have a similar audience, but they serve in a different way, letting them know that you are going to do something special for their audience. If they're interested in, right, I have an idea, I don't know, do you want to talk about it? That opens up that energetic opportunity for them to say, yes, let me receive this, let me feel this, let me see if it's correct for me and my audience. And then you can have a little bit of a collaboration there to get in front of their audience to do, it could be inside a Facebook group. It could be something that you guys do a live stream on LinkedIn. They goes out to their email audience so that you start to get more eyes, and then you offer your free resource, right?
Okay.
So we can do one sort of start with one channel, like one messaging, one it's like core messaging, and then it's like one PDF download, one book a call
Yeah.
opportunity. Keep it simple. And then you can host your own webinars, of course, or master classes, or ask me anything, right? It could be like, like this is part of why I'm doing this. It's like, I want to have people experience me, but I can't show up and do it for everybody all day long, one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the energy. So what I can do is little chunks of it here and there. And then I put it out for people to find. I let them know it's available. And then when they see it and they feel that it resonates, then they can book a call or,
Right.
book a session or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's what I'd like to see for you. I could go on and on, but I think for the sake of
Yeah.
time, we
I
have to
think.
have thing. So any final thoughts or feedback or feelings coming up around that?
No, I think it's funny because I feel like since I don't often meet other mental projectors in particular, there's not so many of us out in the wild. That like it's funny how everything that you said, like strategically, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, oh my God, yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's awesome. Thank you so
good.
much for that. This was really helpful in terms of I think sometimes, in human design, we talk about how the open head is like someone who gets all these ideas and doesn't know what to do with them. I sometimes just kind of feel like I have all these ideas and eventually I'm going to act on, like, I know that they're mine, but I don't even know where to start with them sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and
We've got
so
811 in your North Node.
yeah, it's been really challenging to get to drill down to like being very simple for me. That is definitely one of my challenges. And so hearing this is very helpful.
Yeah, lots of ideas, lots of answers, lots of opinions,
Oh
lots of
yeah.
insights. You have all of that, right? And easy access to it. The amazing thing is that you offer that to people, right? And that's part
Right.
of your genius. That's part of your gift here is to share that. So I think even just in your content creation, even if it feels a little bit all over the place, if you can just tie it back into how that's helped a client or how you could see it helping a client, a potential client, right? And then a simple call to action when appropriate, and you'll know when that feels right and when it does not feel right. Um, I think that can be really powerful for content. And then we just creating one single stream of, right? You have your sort of umbrella of here's what I help people with, and then we're going to get them to a lead magnet, or we're going to get them to book a call, or both. And then the ways that we get them there, someone else's audience, your own master class, a free event, your own going to a networking event. And this will help too. And even saying it's hard to put into words how I help people, but I work with high achieving women and I get them out of the technical, logical mind and help them connect better with their team and get out of burnout and feel really good and happy about their career. And even sometimes that means changing, career paths or getting that promotion or whatever.
Mhm.
Seems so clear to me when I hear you.
Right.
But that's a mental projector. We need to hear ourselves, right? We have to hear ourselves.
Yes. It sounds clear to me. I mean, that's definitely what I'm noticing. Like I've been paying attention and noticing to like who's interested, right? At least like
Mhm.
that part. And I'm like, okay, all right, now who am I actually attracting? Because I think when I first started my business, I definitely felt I have zero training on marketing. I have no training on business development. I spent 15 of my years of my career in the government where don't
Mhm.
need it.
Mhm.
And so Yeah, so it's really been like this process of I feel like that's the three all the time, my little three
Yep.
lines, like, oh, let's try this and see what happens. Let's try
Yep.
that. And now I
Yep.
feel like I'm starting to get honed in. So
Yeah.
this has been fabulous.
Good. I'm
Yes.
so glad. I'm so glad this is helpful. Well, I'm always here for you. I love what you're doing. I love seeing that gap get bridged between the logical and the
Yeah.
spiritual. I think that that's amazing and it's so needed. And it's certainly, the paradigm shift that we're seeing in 2027
Yeah.
that's coming. So keep it up. I'm rooting for you. I'm here for you.
Thank you.
You're doing a great job and you've got this.
Thanks. Thank you so
You're so
much. This
welcome.
has been a great session.
Well, my pleasure.